Hi, boys and girls. This is Neuronymous here with another amazing episode. Today's guest is Fardousa Jama, and I don't know if I pronounced her last name correctly, but she is. I don't know much about her, to be honest with you. I haven't. I've only seen her when we did comedy together at the Coffee Hag, as always. So I don't have much to say. She's apparently very scared of dogs, so most of this introduction is going to be very quick because I need to go ahead and get my dog secure because he's crazy and he's got issues just like me. He's like his daddy. He's very, very neurotic, and he will try and eat her probably. So I'm going to be a hero today and prevent that. So I'm going to keep this quick. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Fardousa Jama.
Fardousa Jama. Fardousa.
Fardousa. All right. See, this is why you should be running the podcast. Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
It's super cold.
It is super cold.
I wish it was summer.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
That kind of quickly went away on us.
Yeah. No, it was like I feel like we were doing okay, and then all of a sudden, just like the weather was just like, fuck it, we're just gonna go and.
Right into the cold. We didn't have a transitioning phase.
I was telling my last interviewee, basically, like, I had to beat the shit out of my car to get the ice off of it because I work from home. So, like, it snowed, and I let it sit for... Can you hear that? It'll be all right. It's okay. People know. I've talked about my dog all the time. So, all right. So, basically, I come outside last night, and it's been... I haven't left the house for, like, 4 days, and it snowed, and there's ice... and on top of the snow, so I basically had to use my fists because the snow and the ice thing
created a little bit of ice.
Yeah, it created a little bit of ice, and I had to like literally go like boom, 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 boom. I felt like I was in a boxing match with my car. And I think the car won because I was like, by the time like my wife and I went to a meeting together, and like I was just like, oh, I'm excited. So tired. Oh my god, I'm dehydrated now. I'm hungry. You know.
Now you know what Rainbow felt like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So you know, I'll be honest. I don't know much about you. All I know is that you did some comedy at the comedy club. I know you ran for city council, right? Mm-hmm. So talk to me. Talk to me about.
What would you like to know? That's a lot to know about.
I know Let's start small. Where were you originally from?
I was born and raised in Somalia.
Somalia, okay.
Which is Africa. East Africa.
All right.
Grew up there. Was born there. And then after the Civil War, we fled.
Okay.
We went through Kenya, Nairobi, before the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. So you came. How old were you when you came to the U.S.?
It was 95, so roughly 22 years.
I have problems with math, so I'm glad you figured that out because I would have been like, that's like 30 years ago.
No, not that old. You made me that old. Wow.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm a terrible podcaster.
But 22 years ago, so that would have put me around 10, 11ish.
Yeah. Wow. So how does that? It's obviously traumatic having to starting where you were, but having to start all over again in the U.S. What was that process like?
Well, we didn't speak English. I spoke fluent Swahili because we left in the 90s from Somalia as the Civil War was just beginning. So most of my memories were of Kenya and fleeing and seeing nothing but violence. And then coming here, it's unknown. I think your dog is like crying.
It's okay.
Are you sure it's okay?
Yeah.
I think she's actually crying.
So where were we?
We were talking about fleeing, coming to America.
And then we felt really bad about my dog.
Yeah.
And I put him in. I imprisoned him in the bathroom, which really If you've seen our bathroom, it kind of is a prison.
Really?
No, not really.
Don't make me feel even worse.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, you know who cleans the bathroom?
You?
This guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, and I am a germaphobe.
Okay.
So that motherfucker is clean. But is it okay if I curse?
No problem.
All right, cool.
You're at your home. I am a guest in your home. Feel free to be yourself.
Sweet. Yeah. So, all right. So you spoke Swahili.
Yep.
And so all right. So when you got here, it had to have been overwhelming.
It is overwhelming because you go majorly from, everybody that looks like you to nobody looks like you.
Yeah, right.
So you go from one extreme to the other. But I think we adapted pretty well. I quickly lost my dad, who passed away, may he rest in peace, was so adamant of getting rid of our accent.
Yeah. Like,
he was super adamant of us getting rid of our accent and, having every opportunity.
Sure.
We talk on the phone to have every opportunity available to us.
Right.
And so he didn't want any prejudgment or precursors of our accent. So he was very particular, making sure that we could say certain things perfectly so that people understood.
Want to keep you safe. Yeah. Yeah,
he's super adamant about that.
Yeah. Well, God, especially, you're coming from one place where you're already in fear to a brand new place where you have no idea what's going on, and he's the Papa Bear, and he's just doing everything he can to keep you safe and secure.
And the funny part is he has a heavy accent for person who was so particular about getting rid of our accent. He had a huge accent, and he felt that because of his accent, he missed out on a lot of opportunities. And so I think that was in a way of him getting us adapted to our new culture. And
you said he passed away?
Yeah, he passed away in August.
In August?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
In the middle of the campaign, yeah.
In the middle of the campaign, that had to put a damper on the. When I say, that had to. After, if that happened to me, I would have pulled. Did you pull the plug on it, or did you still keep on campaigning after that?
I entered the campaign for my dad.
For your dad?
For my dad.
That's
because
amazing.
For two reasons. I entered for two reasons, but the main drive of it was my dad. Right. He was getting sick, and he was sick, but he was also isolated in his room. Okay. He's a very sociable man. He loves to conversate and meet new people, and because he was on an oxygen tank, he was a bit ashamed to be seen in public because he was such a powerful man that he didn't want the community to see him deteriorate. So he isolated himself in his room, and he's very much into politics. He had political science degree. Yeah. He knew what was going on back home. He was a huge figure back home.
Was he?
In Somalia? He was the finance. He worked in the finance department for the president at the time. He was the one that was paying the president and the military and all of that. He was the one that you would have to go and get your paycheck from.
Oh my God!
So literally, you could say he ran the whole country next to the president. He kind of
did, yeah,
right?
Yeah. He's the man who pays your bills.
Yeah, he was the one who paid the bills for the whole continent. For Somalia, and so when I seen that he was, for a year and a half just isolated in his room, I was like, what can I do to kind of bring him out of his shell, get him engaged? Yeah. And I remember going, I love the coffee hack, by the way. I remember
coffee hack. I always do a little coffee hack, free advertisement.
Yeah, I love them. I really, really do. I went there when the Muslim ban happened, and I was more there to get what can I do to kind of bring awareness that, we're not all bad people, right?
Right.
And I was distraught to hear a leader in our community who represents us in this district or in this area tell fellow Americans who want to help, who want to change, who's ready to mobilize, and you tell them the best way they can support a person like me or a fellow Muslim is to wear the hijab. It's so disconnected in the conversation that we're having with one another that I went back home and I was just livid. And I went to my dad. I was like, "This is unacceptable. Like, how does he tell him to put the hijab on? Like, what's that supposed to do? Identify if you're a Muslim or not?" You know, like I was getting really irate with my dad.
Right.
And my dad just looked at me. He's like, "Do something about it. Why are you always complaining? Like, do
Sounds
something
like
about
mom.
it,
Sounds
right?"
like my mom and my wife.
And so that November, I ended up going to Vote Run Lead.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What? You know, like, why don't you go see what they're about?" And I said, "I think I might want to run for a political office. I'm not a politician." Awesome. And as soon as I said I want to run for a political office, it was this amazing. Like, he transformed.
Did he?
He did. He was happy. He was smiling. Nice. And he was like, "I need to call this person and this person and this person. We need to fundraise for you. You need money. And we need to figure it out." And he came alive.
That's awesome.
He became alive. And that was the motivation.
That was the motivation, sure.
That I needed.
Yeah. And then in the middle of it.
He saw me through the primary. He woke up that morning, was like, "You're gonna win."
Yeah.
He jumped up and he was excited. He's like, "She's gonna win. She's gonna make it through the primary." And he's like, "I believe in it." He's like, "I dreamt about it. I know she's gonna win." And that whole entire day, he was in such a happy mood. He was calling relatives. We had like a little premiere thing. He came out to that. He sat in the car for most of it. But he was out there and he's like, "She's gonna win." Every person that was coming into the building, he's like, "She got this. She's winning. I know it in my bones. She's gonna win." And when I did, it was surreal. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, you got me going a little too.
Can I get the tissue?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he was super excited. Like, he was literally like in the car shouting, you know, She won.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
And then a week later, he was gone.
I'm so sorry.
But at least he saw me through that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you won, I mean, that's
that was his whole entire world.
And you know what? He left this world a happy man.
Oh, yeah.
A happy man. And, and that's, there aren't a lot of us. I mean, I don't know what happens after this world, but I mean, I just know that when you go, you want to go at a peak. You know?
And he was happy. He knew that one of his children, got to. Here's the thing. Here's the way of looking at it is.
Sure.
If it had not been me winning the primary, the amount of family that we were able to reconnect because of him, and right after he died, it was the amount of people that showed up for his burial. Not only it's his daughter that people in our community saw, but they saw like the man who birthed me.
Yeah.
And the support and the love and the amount of people that showed up to bury him was a blessing in disguise in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
We all go. Here's the thing. With the beautiful part about it is, watching me going through that is, we're all here for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Right? It's the impact.
It's finite.
Yeah. It's we're all going to that grave. We're all going to where we're going to be buried in. Right?
Yeah.
And we're just ahead of the people that went before. Like, people are just as ahead of each other. We're eventually all going to be buried one day.
Right.
And this world's going to continue to grow. And the beautiful part is what you leave behind.
Right.
The people that you've impacted. The things that you've been able to do while you were here. And the most good that you could do while you're here.
Yeah. I mean, I got... Like, I run a bot.
You're trying to ruin my makeup. That's what that is.
That's you that and scare the shit out of you with my dog. No, I commend you. I mean, for trying. I mean, and I read an article. I mean, that campaign wasn't easy for you, going house to house. I mean, there were some people that were just not nice, to put it lightly. I mean, I read the article. Some people said, like, go back to where you came from, and and
or we don't want Sharia law in Mankato.
Yeah, right. And you know what? There is, man, I don't support anybody. I will not associate with anybody who treats people like that. I mean, I don't care where you're from, I'm Jewish, right? Hey. Yeah. And my parents, sadly, are very, they're conservatives. I hate saying this, but they're conservatives, and they don't get it, and it's hard to listen to them because they're pro-Israel, anti-Palestine, all that jazz, not jazz, but all that bullshit, And the thing is, it's hard to listen to. My wife and my mom have gotten into fights over Trump, and and just those Muslims and stuff like that, and it's hard to my wife and I have really struggled as far as trying to just look past that. But when you have something that's in front of you like that kind of hatred, and it's hard.
Did you ever ask where that hatred comes from?
I asked.
What's the core of it? Because it's like tribalism, if you want to think about it.
It is
how our country is.
Do you need to answer that?
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, by all means. We had to have a slight interruption, boys and girls. It's okay. Everybody, as far as I know, Fardousa and I. Fardousa. Oh fuck! I can't do it. Fardousa. Yeah. All right. This is why nobody should give me a mic.
Oh, it's okay. My name is hard, and the crazy part is, in Arabic, it means the highest heaven.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
The highest heaven.
Yeah.
But I don't think that suits me. I think I'm a bit funny. It doesn't suit me. But here's the thing: what I realized is with what's going on with Israel and Palestine is more of a tribalism than it is about the individual person, right? Because my country, it's at civil war for almost 27 years, at its own, and it's the core of it is tribalism, and it's one person hating on another person from where they came from. Here's the thing: with every generation, that hate is taught and it's passed down, right?
Right.
But I am not responsible for my father's sins, and I can't carry the wrongs that my dad has done.
Yeah. I
can't be the person that you take it out on, because I've yet to make my own faults and my own pathway, which makes us different from that, right?
Yeah.
And it's the new generations that needs to uplift one another and reach out to one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all good people, unless you choose not to be.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've seen my stand-ups. No, I completely understand. I can't agree more with you. But to answer your question, I think like you said, it's just passed on. I mean, I don't think it. Sometimes, to a certain extent, I don't even think they know where that hate comes from. I think it was
passed down to them.
It's just passed down to them, and me, I'm one of those people who's just like, every person. I'm a recovering drug addict, an alcoholic, bisexual human being, so who am I to judge anybody, whether, what color, what religion, what anything, and the thing is, I take each person as they are, on an individual basis, you know what I mean? If you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. If you're, if you've done good things, then you know what? You're a good person.
We all have gifts and talents that we bring to the table.
We have a lot, and we have a lot of flaws too. I mean, and those are our crosses to bear. Not that I have any crosses since I'm Jewish, but
we all have things in our lives that we can work on.
Yep.
There are things that we can always improve.
Yep.
But here's the thing: is we as society need to stop looking at each other's differences, but more look at what makes us unique.
Yep.
And what it is that we contribute to this
Yeah,
world.
absolutely.
And once we start focusing on that, everything else kind of falls away when it comes to religion, when it comes to race, when it comes to sexuality. All that falls away because we're so focused on bettering ourselves and moving ourselves forward that you don't have time to hate anybody.
Right. And the thing about hate is it's exhausting.
Right.
It's so exhausting.
It takes more energy to be happy than it does to
I just don't have. I take like a gazillion meds before I go to bed anyway. So by the time at the end of the night, I'm already exhausted as it is. So like to be more exhausted I work in customer service. That's all I'm gonna say. I never talk about my job where I work, but I work in customer service and I deal with people that I've been. At one point somebody said I had a customer that said I'm tired of being Jewed, and it was like a slap in the face. And my wife was like, well, if it were me, I would have said something. And I'm like, you know what? As much as I would love to do that, A, I'm not here to teach people, unfortunately, in my line of work. And B, that person probably is about 40 years old. He's not going to unlearn one bit me saying something. And, maybe I should have said something, And the thing is, it's debate. It's up for debate.
Do you think that would have changed, though?
I don't think it would have. I really don't.
That's the thing.
And that's that cynicism in me. A little bit of cynicism,
Well, here's the thing. Especially if you're in the line of customer service, I pity you. I really pity you.
I'm treated very well.
But I would definitely be a different character every time somebody would come up. And I've always imagined what it would be like to be a person. Like, I know I worked in customer service industry before, right? But I would wonder, like, on the phone, I would definitely be a different character every single time.
Yeah. So, in another life, in another job, I used to, like, just to be, like, keep things interesting, I'd talk with a British accent. or I'd raise my voice a few octaves and be a woman. And, like, the guys would get flirty with me. And I'd be like, oh, hey. But it's, see what I did there, It's a talent, boys and girls.
I can do the Southern accent.
Can you? Let's hear it.
I can definitely do it. And it's only because I lived in the South that I can do a Southern accent.
Whereabouts in the South were you?
Well, I can't. Virginia. Does that count the South?
Sure, why not?
But I worked for Amtrak, though. So I got to be, like, in Charlotte, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
I got to be in North Carolina, West Virginia, Georgia, a couple parts of Georgia.
Yeah, I got family there.
But here's the thing I realized, though. Pound cakes in Georgia is completely different than the pound cake in Charlotte, South Carolina.
Really? What's the difference?
Boy, the people in South Carolina do it so much better. I don't know what's in it, but it is 10 times the bomb. Like, I'm just saying, like, it was just amazing than how Georgians make it, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
well, I gotta hear the Southern accent now. Let's do it. Let's hear it.
Putting me in the spotlight.
I'm putting you in the spot. Hey, you were on stage doing stand-up comedy. You're talking to, like, a mic full of nobody.
Okay, let's see.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Howdy, my name is Marianne. I'm from down south. Just moved up the river. I can't. I gotta think my sentence through.
You know what? We'll end it. We'll end it with you doing a Southern accent.
Okay.
You give it some thought. We'll keep talking. And so anyway, so it's just I don't get. I just, like I said, hate is exhausting. I don't hate anybody anymore. Like, I used to hold grudges, and the thing is, my family, they hold grudges, not just about race, but just against other family members. And the thing is, like, I'm not a hippy dippy person, like, I'm not like all peace and love, but, like, at the same time, like, for me, it's just like, it gets you nowhere. That hate gets you nowhere, and that anger gets you nowhere, you know what I mean? For me anyway, and I had to learn that because I was a very angry person, and I like to push people away back in the day when I was, hey, it rhymed. When I was in active addiction, like, like I didn't believe that people were capable of loving me. You know, like
you felt like you were unlovable.
I felt like I was unlovable, and I felt like if you did act as you were, were loving, if you were loving to me, that there was something behind it. That there was like an alternative motive. Like there had to be a reason why you were doing this. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't trust you. So I'd push you away, So the harder you love me, the more I push you away, and once I got into recovery, like I don't think I told this story. Yeah, maybe I have, but I don't give a shit. So, I met my sponsor, and he's an amazing guy, and we went to a meeting, and like, I, for the longest time, never thought I was worth being touched. I thought I was worthless, and I went to my first 12-step meeting, and this person came out of it. She looked me up and down, and I was getting off of coke, I was getting off of, alcohol, and she just looked me up and down. She goes, "You need a hug." And before I could say anything, she just grabs me, and like I'm like, "Whoa," and she just holds me, and like I just literally felt like all that hatred and all that, like that self-pity and just flow out of me. And like one day, I always end my episodes one day at a time. That's how I always end them. And it's true. One day at a time. I started letting people in, and my wife and I, we both belong to 12-step groups, and they saved our marriage. Well, that and my ability to work in customer service, because I learned to deal with difficult people. And sometimes my wife can be a little difficult.
But we all
can be. We all can be. We all have our quirks. And I love my wife, and for all this, issues that, she's had in the past, she makes me a proud husband every day, just because of how much she's changed. We both have grown up so much. And so are you in a relationship?
No, I'm happily single.
Happily single. Okay. Yeah. Good for you.
I'm happy being single. I'll be honest. I don't like the drama in relationships. Okay. Especially like at first, it's all about getting to know somebody, and it's all like new
and exciting.
Yeah. And then once you start to like, I don't know, like something just goes wrong. But I'm happily single. There's a switch.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you're acceptable at the beginning of a relationship just because this person is new to you. And then you start to be like, that shit annoys the hell out of me. And then you're just like, I can't deal. So you ghost them.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
no, totally. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. Like, and I just remember, I remember my wife and I, for an instant, like we almost parted ways. Like it was over something really stupid too. It was, again, when I was still, I don't know if I wasn't that deep into the addiction at that point, but like she called me a bad pet owner because I own a cat. She's somewhere around here. She's still alive.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I can deal with cats. More than I can deal with dogs.
Yeah. No. And so, I had a cat, but I was house sitting for my parents, and that meant their two dogs. So I was staying at their house watching the two dogs, and I apparently I didn't do something according to my wife's standard of up to her standards, and she called me a bad pet owner. Right? At least I thought. She probably didn't say that, but in my head, that's what I heard, and I was like, "Well, fuck you!" And like I don't know if I even slammed. I don't think I slammed it. I think it was all via messaging. So we were like clicking.
Speaking of that, text messages though, especially when you're having a conversation with somebody, it's never how you're saying it; it's how they perceive it.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So you could be saying something that is completely innocent, and you're just trying to be delicate as you can, but however that person reads that text, puts a whole different perspective on it.
My wife and I, we've stopped, like, anything if it involves money. We just don't text. We just that's a no-no, especially during the day on a work day when I'd be like, "Hey, can I go buy Mission Impossible Fallout?" And she'd be like, she sends me a text message saying, "Honey, we don't talk about money via text." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I forgot all about it." you know, and you know, so yeah, there, you know, and that's one thing I'll give to you about being single. You don't have to worry about money. I mean, you do have to
You
worry
do
about
have to worry about money,
money,
but you make that money in order to spend it.
Yeah, exactly. That's your money. You know, when you're married, that's our money.
Well, that's the culture difference.
Oh yeah.
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 If I get married, my husband's money is my money, and my money is my money.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna convert. Oh my god!
You don't want to be that way because you're gonna be the one to give up your money.
Oh shit! Yeah, no. And if my mom heard, all right, this will give you a good picture of my mom's institutional racism. Okay, like my father-in-law, bleeding heart liberal, you know, and in this day and age, that just basically means a nice person.
Bernie Mac. I mean, was it
Bernie Sanders?
Sanders.
Yeah, Bernie. Well, Bernie Mac was. I'm sure he was a nice guy too.
But he's no longer with us.
He's no longer. God rest his soul. So no, my mom meets my father-in-law for the very first time at this restaurant, and she, you know, he's a bleeding heart liberal, right? And I don't know how the hell we got on what track this topic came on, but my wife Freudian slip, Jesus. My mom referred to the 1960s civil rights movement as, oh, that whole black thing.
I would have lost my shit.
Oh, my wife, like I was just like, I nearly shit myself in a restaurant. Like I wish I was like,
a fly on the wall.
Oh God, my wife was just like, and then I was like, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, I was just like, okay, I think check please. I was like, we gotta get out of here. I don't know what's about. I
don't think my mom was gonna be alive after this.
Yeah, no, and like so, and then you know, and like a couple years later, like we were talking, and I was like, you do remember that? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? I was like,
oh my God.
I was like,
you're oblivious.
You're like the fact that you don't remember that. Just even more that just cements the fact that you have there's some definite racial issues. I mean, because when you boil like hundreds to thousands of years, not just the 60s, but like thousands of years of bigotry and persecution, like into that whole black thing, you got some issues.
You got big issues, not just a little issues. You got big issues.
You got big issues, yeah. So yeah. My we've learned, Amanda and I, to not talk about politics at all with my. In fact, I told my dad. I said, whenever we come in, I said, now remember, tell him you got to keep mom on the leash. You got to don't talk about Trump. Don't talk about
a Trump supporter.
She is. And it breaks my heart.
Really?
It breaks my heart.
What is it that she sees in him?
Because she thinks he's pro-Israel and all that stuff.
You think so? That's the only reason.
I think honestly, here's the thing. My dad is he's a very smart individual, and you know, and they watch Fox News all the time, and you know, here's the thing with my mom. And this is not to bash. Oh God, I feel like this is going to be the mom bashing episode. But you know, my mom, whenever we'll be like, we'll come up with a counter argument to what she's saying. She'll go, my dad's name is Mark. She'll go, Mark, do we believe that? And it's like she's like trying to like make sure that her facts are straight before she rebuts. Yes. You know, so it's like, and the thing is, my dad, as far as being a Trump supporter, I don't think he gives a shit, to be honest. I mean, he voted for Trump, but he didn't really. I mean, he didn't want. It was like one of those things where he didn't want. It was like.
Here's a question I want to know, like just out of curiosity, people who voted for Trump. I'm always curious. I want to understand the psyche of what's going on with you that you would vote for this person. But at the same time, what I want to know, is it because of a key issue, or do you fundamentally agree with this man? That's a difference. A lot of people supported Trump because of a key issue, right? So he was supposed to bring jobs back. He made all these promises that he's yet to deliver.
Yeah,
other than the Muslim ban and isolating immigrants and throwing immigrants under the bus. But everything else that this man had promised is our wages were going to be increased. Did you know that in January, living cost is going up this year again?
I honestly, this is going to sound completely ignorant, but the news was depressing.
It is depressing.
It was so depressing, I stopped watching it.
But living cost is going up, but that doesn't mean that our paychecks are not going up, right? Our gas and electricity and all of that, everything is going up except our paychecks. But this man has done nothing to contribute to our economy, right? Yeah. He hasn't done anything he promised. So my question to those who voted for Trump, who hasn't brought any jobs back. Jobs have been where they've been at since the Obama administration. Continuously lies on a national stage.
He can't keep his fucking fingers off the Twitter button.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you also have the Russia fiasco that's still going on. And when he had the opportunity to stand up for the American people, to stand up for our law enforcement, our intelligence gatherings, he completely and utterly obliterated us. Yeah. In front of the whole entire world. So
this is me rolling my eyes, folks, in support of what Fardousa is saying.
So my question...
Fardousa.
Fardousa.
I did it.
Yes,
almost.
You did
I
got it.
So close.
So what I would have asked your mom is... They sound such a fabulous parents, by the way. But what I would ask is... Given all of that has happened, the national embarrassment in front of the country, in front of the whole world, can you still support this man? And if so, that speaks volume that you believe in his fundamental beliefs than you are of key issues.
I personally think we're on the verge of another Holocaust. To be completely honest with you,
You think so?
Oh God, yeah. Let's just look at how it may not be Jews this time, but I think.
You think history is repeating itself?
Absolutely, history is repeating itself.
So what role do you have to play in history then if it's repeating itself?
I don't. I think. Well, I've got this thing. Well, no. I'm being.
But if you don't. Okay, so if you don't watch the news, right?
Yeah.
And you don't listen to what's going on, how are you impacting those that are listening? Your beautiful listeners out there in the world, right? How are you gonna compound or fight against everything that's happening? What's your role in history? Because you're in the media industry, and that's what shapes a lot of our minds and our opinions. Yeah. So how are you contributing to that?
Well, for starters, this might
That's a good question.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question.
I think I hijacked your interview.
You bogarted my interview. No, honestly, up until recently, I really don't talk. I usually don't talk about politics because it's such a hot button issue. There's so many hot button issues. But here's the thing. My role is that I think, learn something just learn as much as you can, and the thing is, you did hijack my interview. Oh, touche. No, for me, honestly, I try to have as many no disrespect, diverse people as I possibly can. I've had somebody who's transgender on the show, because the thing is, we're all people, and the thing is, I think Trump is, it's fear-based, it's hate-based.
It's the fear to divide and conquer.
Yep, exactly.
The more that we can stay isolated amongst each other, the better that he would be. Exactly. But it doesn't have to be a hot topic. Right. One thing I'm realizing as his administration came into power or got voted in is we're having conversations with each other that we weren't having before.
True.
Right? Now we see how a lot of people in America feel. Yeah. Right? Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's not hidden anymore. Now it's how do we heal and how do we change from that? Yeah. So that we're not consistently staying the same.
Right. And and for me and I don't know. You got to wrap this up pretty quick, or
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think for me, the one thing I try and do to the best of my ability is to treat every single person I meet with respect, no matter who they are, where they came from, and because the thing is, Lord knows the people who all the KKK, all these.
You know that the KKK. Speaking of that, do you know that the KKK had a strong hold in Mankato?
I was not aware of that. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a huge hold of it here, the KKK. That it's surreal. It's shocking to me when I learned about it. But here's the thing: that if anything that I can leave with you from this interview is our differences is what makes us unique, and our differences is what unites us. And we need each other more than we realize, right?
Yeah, we do.
In society,
Absolutely.
In order for us to function. Me being a Muslim woman who came into this country legally, who lived here for 20 almost 22 years, is we contribute. We contribute in ways that a lot of people don't see it. We contribute it through economically by owning businesses in this community. We give back into this community by being ownerships of our homes. Like, I know my dad bought a house here. A lot of friends and relatives of mine own homes, so we're not constantly some people like to make it believe that we live off of county. We're funny, we're open, we have events that we invite the community to get to know. And America was built on a melting pot. Yeah. We're all from different places of the world. And why not celebrate our differences than hating it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? If I can leave anything with that.
Well,
and I would love to come back and do another podcast.
You know what? I'd love to have you back because, and maybe I'll make sure that my dog is at the groomers this time. But
as long as you don't send men my way, though, let them know. I'm happily single. I'm not looking.
And we will, and that is where we will leave this interview. So that was for Fardousa Jama that we interviewed today. It was, man, that was like a marathon. That was super intense. I've never, this podcast has never been as political before, and that's. But you know what? We got to contribute somehow. And I mean, absolutely no disrespect to my mom or my dad. They are wonderful people. I love them more than anything. I don't agree with their politics in any way, shape, or form, but they are great people, and I just want to make sure that that's clear. I'm drained. I'm drained after that interview, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut it short today. But as always, boys and girls, I hope you all had an amazing experience listening to my little podcast here. We've now passed the 25th episode, and we're on the 26th episode. So we're breaking down barriers, and we're breaking down walls one day at a time.